Welcome to Video Bytes. I'm Ethan Banks, and I've got Dennis Thankachan, CEO and founder of Lightyear.ai, with me. Dennis, now I know you guys did a Tech Bytes with us, and those people that are Packet Pushers podcast listeners may have run into this Tech Byte where we introduce your company to the world. But for those that haven't heard of Lightyear yet, would you remind us all in a short paragraph what you guys do?
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me on, Ethan. So Lightyear is what we call the telecom operating system, and it's effectively a software platform that powers the full life cycle for all of your telecom services, things like your internet, WAN circuits, your voice services, your data centers, and basically takes all of those manual workflows you'd use to buy and manage these services, makes them digital, puts them in a platform using AI and proprietary data. And today, our products include procurement software. So basically, you can create RFPs and manage installs digitally. We'll automate the whole backend, use data to make sure that this is gets you to optimal outcomes. We have a network inventory manager. It's basically a system of record for everything in your enterprise network, keeps you organized, automates a lot of things like placing tickets on your services and such. And we have a bill consolidation product that basically gives you one consolidated bill for all of your telecom services with digitized invoices. And we'll even track issues and variances between your bills and make sure that your procurement, your inventory, and your bill payments are all sort of tied together in one closed system.
I love this in that I was a WAN manager for a company once that had did a lot of M&A work, a lot of acquisitions, and were therefore scattered with offices all over the world. I had to manage. We had at least 3 telcos that I was dealing with at any given time and had to figure out manually, talk to everybody, figure out where circuits were, and then manage the whole installation process. We had another person that was dedicated. Pretty much her full-time job was reviewing bills and making sure that circuits were disconnected that had been disconnected. We were no longer being charged for them, and then chasing after them. Guys, we disconnected this 6 months ago and you've been billing us and getting the bills adjusted. It sounds to me like Lightyear would have taken a lot of that work off my plate and off of her plate and so on, and put everything into one place.
That's exactly what we do. We deal with a lot of companies that are very acquisitive, have gone through M&A, immense growth, whatever it may be. Managing telecom at the enterprise level is just a huge, huge pain that we saw as underserved. And today, we've been around since 2019. We serve about 400 enterprise customers, including a bunch of the Fortune 500 companies like Allo Yoga, Five Guys, Palo Alto Networks, Okta, all work with us, and many, many more.
Okay, so we've got some announcements that have come out very recently from you guys, and we're going to focus on that in our demo today and show us off some other features of the Lightyear product along the way. Give us a rundown of those announcements.
Yeah, absolutely. So this week we announced some of our biggest product launches of the year, and I'm going to want to demo them for you in a minute because I think that'll display it way better than me just saying words here. But to give you a quick rundown, of course, we handle procurement for all of our enterprise customers, and we've digitized all of that. So we've now, for the first time, unveiled platform support for bulk internet connectivity procurement. So this is actually the first software solution that's specifically built to digitize and optimize internet circuit procurement across 10, 100, or over 1,000 sites all at one time. And we built this out because a lot of our enterprise customers were going through network transformations that resulted in them maybe having to buy 100 services at once or 200 services at once, and you want to get bulk benefits. But doing so requires coordinating across a bunch of ISPs, managing hundreds of quotes, and trying to negotiate in bulk rather than one by one, which takes extra effort. But our system now allows you to create a bulk site RFP in minutes, and you can actually templatize your configurations by site, and we can store all of your addresses for you. We'll optimize your vendor strategy for bulk bidding by basically algorithmically determining what ISPs have optimal type 1 coverage of your network.
So hang on a second. So you're not just a proxy for WAN providers I already have a relationship with. You can get me in the door with whoever the best WAN provider is at any given location.
Either or, so we can help you identify new providers. Also, let's say you only work with 5 vendors. we can optimize your RFP across those 5 vendors only with a fulsome market analysis of everyone that's out there and who's
Got it.
optimal within those 5 vendors. Basically, just use data to drive whatever outcome that is that you desire. If you only want to work with one vendor, if you want to work with 25 vendors, we obviously won't tell you what to do in that end, but we can help you get to the optimal outcome with whatever it is you want to do.
So with this announcement, you're announcing this ability to do bulk. I need 100 circuits. I need 1,000 circuits, and you can arbitrate all of those potential relationships that I might be engaging in the network transformation project, that sort of thing. And then, and what else is in this announcement, Dennis?
So the second piece of this is embedded platform support for circuit KMZ files. So as a lot of network engineers who are watching or listening to this are likely aware, um, diversity is more important than ever, and uptime is more important than ever. So a lot of engineers are spending tons of time, hounding providers, asking for KMZs or route details, and then putting those into Google Earth or some other tool, and then
Mhm.
basically zooming in really deep and trying to identify either overlap or augmentation. So
Again, for people that don't know what a KMZ is, we're talking about a file that would plot a specific path, a physical path that a circuit would take through a city from your location to a CO, these kind of things.
yes, exactly. And then, once you get your circuit installed, maybe you lose track of the KMZ if you had it. Or maybe you just skip the step altogether because it's just too much work. Is sometimes what we find people doing. So basically, you can now request KMZs for circuits in platform. Will automatically store, organize, and analyze those files for you. So alongside your quotes, you can actually analyze routes, and our system will calculate overlap for you, give you a full map view. You don't need to go into another software product to do this stuff. We can compare routes for diversity, identify single points of failure, and even request augmentations to paths on your behalf if you work with us on that. And
Mhm.
then post procurement will store all of your KMZs, and you can visualize your actual KMZ routes in any sort of map format that you'd like alongside your inventory.
Again, this is awesome. I've been in the room with the rep trying to plan true circuit diversity, and you make them generate those files, and they show it's like, guys, you told me this was diverse. Look, for miles, these two paths are identical. What are you giving me here? And so to have access to that information is and be able to see it, to visualize it, is a great thing. Well, Dennis, any more announcement components that we need to talk about before we get into the demo?
So we also announced a couple other things that are smaller. We've enhanced our IP address management functionality. We also have like actually a deeply expanded API. I won't demo those here, but we're shouting out, and we'll share some detail that people can click on to see more details on the announcement. But yeah, I would love to just jump into the demo.
Yeah, fire up the interface, and Dennis, let's start walking through Lightyear.
Absolutely. So, assuming you can see my screen here. So, once again, Lightyear is a software platform that we call the telecom operating system. And what you're seeing right now is the dashboard that you'd see upon login as a hypothetical Lightyear user. And just to orient you really quickly before I get into the specifics, on the left hand side, you have a navigation pane, can take you to the procurement component of the platform, or inventory or expense management software. At the top, we got a global search function. You can search anything in
Mhm.
procurement, inventory, anything, and navigate easily. On the right, you can start quests, manage your team. You even have action items if you have ongoing installs. So this can help you just stay on top of what's most important if you need to provide, for example, here an access permit that could otherwise hold up an install for you.
Now, you guys are a commercial product for sure, but then there are ways I can use Lightyear at no cost. If I was one of those folks, would this more or less be the same interface I'd see, even if I'm not paying Lightyear at this point?
That is right. This is the same interface anyone sees. It's just basically what you're getting from that interface may differ. So, our
Hmm.
procurement software is actually free to use. Um, and
Hmm.
that is something you could get going and using. Inventory, you get basically a light version of inventory for anything you procure via Lightyear, but for the fulsome inventory offering, that is a paid offering. And then expense management or bill consolidation is a paid offering as well.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, getting into it, let's talk about bulk site. So visualize yourself as a network engineer who is automatically faced with a project where it's like, I need to either transform my network, I'm moving off of MPLS, or maybe I need to upgrade my network, but all of a sudden I got to buy 100 circuits at 50
Mhm.
sites or something or other. What you might do in that situation is think about like, man, who am I going to call and email and call and email and call and email to get that going? With
Yep.
Lightyear, you don't need to worry about that. You can simply log in and click Start New Bulk Internet Request. And over here, you can manage some products. So this is sort of like taking me through uh, guidance on the platform here. But basically, here you can see some bulk projects that I have going. I can start a new RFP project here. So, let's just name this international uh, RFP and
Mhm.
create a project, get that going here. Here, I actually can use templatized site profiles. Um, and here you can see I have a template for my main office, my branch office, my warehouse, where at a main office, I'm using a dedicated circuit as well as a broadband backup, branch office, just a broadband circuit, warehouse, dedicated, and a dedicated. So here, those are my templatized site
Mhm.
profiles. Um, from here, I can actually sort of dictate um, what templates I want to apply to what sites. And our system will actually store all of your site addresses for you. And you can simply sort of just like click in and set up your RFP for 100 circuits. You can even organize this in a spreadsheet and then sort of copy and paste that in here
Okay.
to get that going. Or you could even pass us the information and we can even enter this on your behalf. And then you can sort of dictate, you can go down this list, set up site details, and dictate your contract terms. So let's say I want 3 years. You can dictate if you want particular vendors bidding on this or not. Otherwise, we can run it to the open market.
Okay.
So you can set that up.
Okay.
And we will then take all of that intelligence and uh, algorithmically set up a bulk RFP on your behalf. So, let's see what that looks like.
So I'm filling in the core components of the RFP, my locations and what kind of service I'm looking for in terms of that service and so on. And then you as Lightyear are going to take that and go, okay, now we have the information we need to go to market with this, to shop what our client is looking for.
Exactly right. So basically,
Okay.
just to give you some nitty gritty on what actually goes on there, let's look at like a bulk site output. So here's our US bulk RFP, 59 locations with a lot of circuits. That could be 118 circuits across 59 locations, hypothetically. The first thing that's going to happen is we're going to take all the stuff you give us, all those sites, all your site configurations, and all your desired
Mhm.
vendors, all of that, and basically determine an algorithm for bidding dictated by who has infrastructure coverage at what site
Mhm.
and your particular objectives. So our system, here's an insight into our network availability system, and you can actually see what underlies our algorithm. So we're actually going to show you provider coverage at each site with a star system dictating either on net, near net, less near net, or potentially off net. So here, this is off net, these are on net, these are on net. So you can see AT&T has 75% coverage. Zayo has 75% coverage, Lumen 73,
Mhm.
Windstream 63. So depending on how many vendors you want to work with, this will dictate the bidding strategy. Like we're going to want
Mm.
to send a certain number of sites to AT&T because they're going to have type 1 access. We're also going to want to probably get Zayo bidding on a lot of sites. And that's what our system will do on your behalf. And we'll also have benchmark pricing that's ideal based on live market data for AT&T bidding at each site, Zayo at each site, Lumen at each site, depending on your circuit configurations. All that's going to
Mhm.
be done by our system on the back end. You're just going to get live notifications about what's going on. So here you can see tons of circuit quotes for tons of sites, all organized. So here's a Seattle site where I can click and view um, all my quotes per site with all the detail, and I can select an individual vendor for that particular site, or you can
Mhm.
even bulk select vendors for sites as well. If you want to look at each individual vendor's bid across sites in bulk as well. So there are multiple ways to cut it, and we can help you navigate that on your behalf. But this will basically organize for you hundreds of quotes across hundreds of sites. Some of these have as many as 10 quotes per site, and you can select in bulk. You can sort of like denote contracting in bulk. So here, I can all the sites I've selected quotes for a number of sites here. Some I haven't, and I can move forward with contract requests for all of those vendors. So here I'm selecting.
Okay, okay, okay. Hang on, hang on. I'm having a brain moment here. How are you populating all of those quotes? How do you know where Are you like interfaced into all of these vendors, hitting an API or something, so you know circuit costs and locations and where they serve and all that?
That's exactly right. Basically, via a variety of systems, we've built up location intelligence on who has what where. That's like sort of like level one. And we get that location intelligence directly from carriers via APIs, via data we purchase. We combine it all into one sort of holistic system that we iterate on over time. Layer two is pricing. We have integrations with the vendors where they
Mhm.
actually can put pricing into our software, or we have automated API pulls for pricing from those carriers. We scrape data from places, we purchase data, all that, we combine it to get you pricing data that we also match against live market data. What are people buying? What are they paying? What's a good rate? You combine all of
Hmm.
that, we have algorithms by which we can get you pricing for hundreds of services in a streamlined fashion across a bunch of carriers. Today we can quote over 1,000 carriers spanning the globe.
That was my next question, because in this particular example, we happen to be looking at a lot of United States-based locations, but you serve the market globally.
That's right. So we serve the market globally. We work with a lot of companies that are either US based but work internationally, or a lot of international companies, some companies based in Asia or Europe.
So if I'm ready to go, you were walking me through. I've got quotes. I can select them. Now I can go ahead and actually contract these.
That's exactly right. So you can, set your technical contacts, your site contacts, billing contacts, and select contracts. So here, based on what I've selected, I'm getting contracts for 13 services from, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 vendors. So in this case, this is a super distributed vendor footprint. Maybe you wouldn't want to do that based on, what you want, but that's what I selected under this particular circumstances. And I've only selected for some number of sites. You can go back and in batches contract if you like, or contract all at once, um, and we'll project manage the stages of that on your behalf. Um, Once that's done, the next thing is install management for your service. One of the big reasons that people avoid bulk purchasing is because, oh my God, I have to manage 100 circuit installs, 200 circuit installs. So we have an install manager
Hmm.
that will manage your bulk procurement built for scale. This is basically a detailed install project manager that here you can see, 20 ongoing installs. We have enterprises using this to manage 400 or 500 installs going on at one time. We'll track all the job steps that go into an individual install. So here's, a gig DIA at a London site for Zayo, uh, and we'll track actually all of the job steps that go into that install. And you'll also get a dedicated PM from Lightyear that's tracking all your installs. We'll keep all your install details, who's the provider, PM, all the updates. You'll get notifications live on all of these things. We can make sure the notifications are routed to the right people for the particular install, and also that things are going to timeline. If you have 10 installs that are going and 5 are going awry and delayed, we can get escalations for those 5 going proactively on your behalf without you having to do anything, and you'll just get a notification noting that that's going. If you have an action item, like I need to submit an access permit for this particular site, there's a site survey to schedule, we'll notify you of those things. So this can just really streamline the management of 100 installs. We can even work with you on sort of staggering installs if you want to do 10 at a time, then 10, then 10, then 10. That's the type of thing that we can do on your behalf as well.
Now, you mentioned I get a PM. Is that project manager a person that I could call on the phone? Is it an email relationship? How does it work?
Whatever you'd like. We try to sort of like match the energy that's provided and desired by the customer. So you absolutely can call them, you can email them, you can use our chat function, and they will be around. And that's like a real human that's on top of your service.
And then with that project manager, am I still need, how close of attention do I need to pay to the installation? Am I driving things, making things happen, or is Lightyear doing that for me?
We will attempt to drive as much as possible on your behalf unless you proactively tell us not to. Some customers, want to be really in the driver's seat of their install.
Mhm.
Um, but we will default to driving as much as we can on your behalf. Of course, we're not at the site, So if there are issues like a site survey that requires sort of an in-person presence or coordination, or setting up like actual physical activation of the circuit or letting someone in or providing access, that's something we can't do on your behalf, and we would need you to be there. And then the other thing is we want
Makes
you to
sense.
validate that when the service, sometimes the vendor says the service is working and you're not getting a working service. We want you also, of course, to test and validate that the circuit is activated and turned up after install as well.
Okay, so we've procured circuits. Now we're working on the installation of circuits. What's next?
And then, finally, final piece here is inventory. Just a quick note, like once you buy all the services in bulk, we'll sort of put all those services in bulk into a holistic inventory system. So here's a hypothetical enterprise network. And, here, this site has a point to point going into it, also a broadband circuit. I guess a 10 gig broadband. But in this case, so we'll track all the circuit details that static IPs, service details, contract details, site details. We'll track that for all your services post install, so you can manage the life cycle for those services. You can attach notes, files, etc. You'll know who to call if there's an issue. So we'll track all that end to end for you. And then finally, also with billing, if you pay for our bill consolidation services, we'll handle bulk billing for you. Some people don't want to do things in bulk with a multi-vendor footprint, and we'll never tell you to do multi-vendor, single vendor, 2 3. Obviously that's your choice as an enterprise what you want to do, but if you want to go multi-vendor, we can make it a lot easier by giving you one single consolidated bill. We'll itemize all of your invoices for you and track billing issues on your behalf.
Like we disconnected a circuit 6 months ago and I'm still getting billed. Like you would be out in front of those sorts of situations for me.
That is right. And if you're getting misbilled on an invoice, there's a major variance. We'll either flag that for you or take action on your behalf as well.
Okay, wow. All right. Well, Dennis, the thing we haven't seen yet that was in the announcement is the KMLs, right? Is that something you can show us?
Absolutely. So uh, as alluded to, a lot of people spend a lot of time outing providers for KMZs, analyzing KMZs, augmenting routes, etc. That's now something that we can do platform native for you. So here, let's look at some wave circuit quotes. So here's a wave between Portland and Seattle for 10 gigs of bandwidth from 4 vendors. Here, maybe let's say you're getting 2 waves and you want things to be fully diverse from each other between data centers, or you don't want this to overlap with other routes that may not be a wave.
If you listen to this and you're missing the point of what, the whole diversity thing is about, it's about if damage happens to a circuit because of a storm, because of a backhoe, something like that, you want a second path that can keep that would not also go down at the same time. It's one thing to have two circuits up. It's a different thing to have two circuits up that take physically diverse paths, and that's what we're talking about here.
That's exactly right. And we can now sort of pull those KMZs for you and provide you sort of like KMZ path analysis embedded in platform. So here you can see KMZs for the crown path and the lumen path. These are, of course, fictional KMZs. These are not actual crown or lumen paths. And you can sort of like zoom in and analyze paths. We'll also do a route comparison for you if you desire. So here you can see that there are 2 intersections on the
Mm-hmm.
path that you may actually want to look into, and what the percentage and distance overlap is on those particular paths. Here, I can show you that on another wave quote. Here's between 2 data center sites, an Equinix and databank site, same sort of thing. So here's 2 hypothetical paths, and you can very clearly see on the outset that there's actually probably a bit more overlap on these two.
Mm,
And that's
yeah.
accurate. So much more overlap in 39 intersections across 34 points. So, and that's stuff where we can gather these for you. We can embed these in platform. We can show you mileage and overlap. We can augment paths, like work with carriers to augment paths for you to the extent that true path diversity is important. We can see what's viable there. And then finally, in your inventory, you purchase these services, we will track all of your actual paths. And here, you can sort of show or hide your actual KMZ views. So here you can see there's a point to point here that's relevant, between
Mm-hmm.
Dallas and Phoenix, and here's the actual KMZ route being taken of that
Huh.
circuit, and you can show or hide here other paths as well. And these will be stored alongside your actual circuit inventory as well.
And again, I didn't have to supply you with the KMZ. You pulled that somehow or another, interacting with the vendor, figuring out what KMZs are available, and embedding them when available.
That's exactly right. So we can
Okay.
work with vendors to get these for you. Sometimes working with the vendors to get KMZs can be a little difficult, and on the provider end, what it takes to get it, unfortunately, we can't just magically speed that up. But we can make it an efficient process for you where we're in charge of doing it on your behalf and in charge of the analysis.
Okay. Well, Dennis, very cool. Thank you for showing us the demo. I love all of this, and I'm just reflecting back on my time as a WAN manager and going, if this platform had existed, the amount of meetings, time, chasing of different people, solving different parts of the problem for me, and so on, that could have been saved if I had this interface to interact and work with. So, for people that have seen what you guys are doing at Lightyear and they're interested to know more, where do they?
So our website is lightyear.ai, and I'll share with packet pushers that you can link in here, just a link to the release regarding in-depth detail on these particular releases, so people can click into that. We're going to do a webinar that you can register for by clicking into that link where we dig into these in more depth. And you just go to our website. You can click to create an account immediately or schedule a demo, because we do way more than what I've showcased here. So if I can help you save, you know, 2 or more carrier sales meetings, hopefully 20 or more or 50 or more, then we've done our job well.
Yeah, I know that there's more you can do, and we covered some of that in the Tech Bite, the audio podcast that we recorded, you guys, which we'll link to. We should put that on the screen as well, so you can find that easily. Dennis Thankachan, thank you for joining us at Video Bites today. I've been Ethan Banks, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you.